Om Namo Hare Krishna Prabhu Standard Param Jai Sa Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalам Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahaganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारित्यन्तस्तोय भद्राणि वितुनुतीर्षुरित्सतं नष्टप्रायस्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 3.541. Marganti yatte mukapadmanidai shandah supranairashayo vivikte yasya gamarsho dasaridvaraya padam padam tirtha padah prapanna. Marganti, searching after, yat as te, your mukhapadma, lotus-like face, nidai, by those who have taken shelter of such a lotus flower, Chandaha, pedicums, suparnai, by the wings, Rishaya, the sages, vivikte, in a clear mind, yasya, whose, aga marshoda, that which offers freedom from all reactions to sin, sarit, rivers, Varayaha, in the best, Padam Padam, in every step, Tirthapada, one whose lotus feet are as good as place of pilgrimage, Prapanna, taking shelter. Translation. The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best of rivers, the Ganga, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. Purport. The Paramahamsas are compared to royal swans who make their nest on the petals of the lotus flower. The Lord's transcendental bodily parts are always compared to the lotus flower because in the material world the lotus flower is the last word in beauty. The most beautiful thing in the world is the Vedas or Bhagavad Gita, because therein knowledge is imparted by the person of Godhead himself. The Paramahamsa makes his nest in the lotus-like face of the Lord and always seeks shelter at his lotus feet, which are reached by the wings of Vedic wisdom. Since the Lord is the original source of all emanations, intelligent persons enlightened by Vedic knowledge seek the shelter of the Lord, just as birds who leave the nest again search out the nest to take complete rest. All Vedic knowledge is meant for understanding the Supreme Lord, as stated by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita. Vedaischa sarvar ahameva vedya. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Intelligent persons who are like swans take shelter of the Lord by all means and do not hover on the mental plane by fruitlessly speculating on different philosophies. The Lord is so kind that He has spread the river Ganga through the universe so that by taking bath in that holy river, everyone can get released from the reactions of sins which occur at every step. There are many rivers in the world which are able to evoke one's sense of God consciousness simply by one's bathing in them, and the river Ganga is chief amongst them. In India, there are 5 sacred rivers, but the Ganga is the most sacred. The river Ganga and Bhagavad Gita are chief sources of transcendental happiness for mankind, and intelligent persons can take shelter of them to go back home, back to Godhead. Even Sripad Sankaracharya recommends that a little knowledge in Bhagavad Gita and the drinking of a little quantity of Ganga water can save one from the punishment of Yamaraj. Text 42. यच्छ्रद्धया श्रुतवत्य च या श्रद्धया श्रुतवत्या च भक्त्या समृज्यमाने हृदये वदाया ज्ञानेन वैराग्यबलेन धीरा व्रजेम तत्तेन गृहीप्सरोपजपितम्. Yet that which Shraddhaya, by eagerness, Shrutavatya, simply by hearing, Cha also, Bhaktya, in devotion, Samrijamane, being cleansed, Hridaye, in the heart, Avadaya, meditation, Jnanena, by knowledge, Vairagya, detachment, Balena, by the strength of Dhira, pacified, Vrajema, must go to, that, Te, your angry feet, Saraha Japitam. Sarah Japitam, Lotus Sanctuary. Translation. Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and on the strength of detachment one becomes pacified. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet. Purport. The miracles of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord with eagerness and devotion are so great that no other process can compare to it. The minds of materialistic persons are so disturbed that it is almost impossible for them to search after the supreme truth by personal regulative endeavors. But even such materialistic man with a little eagerness for hearing about the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., can surpass all other methods of attaining knowledge and detachment. The conditioned soul is attached to the bodily conception of the self, and therefore he is in ignorance. Culture of self-knowledge can bring about detachment from material affection, and without such detachment there is no meaning to knowledge. The most stubborn attachment for material enjoyment is sex life. One who is attached to sex life is to be understood as devoid of knowledge. Knowledge must be followed by detachment. That is the way of self-realization. These two essentials for self-realization, knowledge and detachment, become manifest very quickly if one performs devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. The word dhira is very significant in this connection. A person who is not disturbed, even in the presence of cause of disturbance, is called dhira. Sri Yamunacharya says, "Since my heart has been overwhelmed by the devotional service of Lord Krishna, I cannot even think of sex life, and if thoughts of sex come up upon me, I at once feel disgust. A devotee of the Lord becomes an elevated Dhira by the simple process of meditating in eagerness on the lotus feet of the Lord. Devotional service entails being initiated by a bona fide spiritual master and following his instructions in regard to hearing about the Lord. Hmm. Such a bona fide spiritual master is accepted by regularly hearing from him about the Lord. The improvement in knowledge and detachment can be perceived by devotees as an actual experience. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strongly recommended this process of hearing from a bona fide devotee, and by following this process, one can achieve the highest result, conquering all other methods. Haribo, who wants to read next verse?
Sami Prabhu, actually, in the purport you read, there was this nice verse by Yamunajacharya. If anyone wants to know, this Sri Yamunajacharya says, it's in just a minute, 7 9:45. Can you bring that up?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada gives that verse, and many times Prabhupada recited this also. It's a
What
very
was the
beautiful
last
verse.
number?
7 9:45. 7 9:45.
Oh,
45.
sorry.
Yeah, so this verse Prahlad Maharaj is saying that how the miseries of sex life. Sex life is just like itching, no? So, and in the purport, yeah,
Yes,
in
Prabhu,
the
you can read it.
yeah, we can read this also. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of. Actually, we can read the verse also. Verse is also very nice by Prahlad Maharaj. यन्मैथुनादिगृहमेदि सुखं हि तुच्छं कण्डूयनेन करयोरिव दुःखदुःखं कृप्यन्ति नेह कृपणा बहुदुःखभाज कण्डूतिवन्मनसिजं विषहेत धीरः. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Grihamedis, so-called grihasthas, who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. The Kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of Brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensual enjoyment. Those who are dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subjected to the suffering of fools and rascals. So in the
Haribo, yes,
purport,
Prabhu, it's very nice.
yeah, this is the verse is also nice by Yamunacharya. Yeah.
Yes,
So
Prabhu, you can read from this.
when we feel like the urge of itching, what happens? We temporarily we feel satisfied. Oh, my itching has gone now. The urge is gone. But what happens if we continuously itch? Then no blood comes out.
Yes,
So it
Prabhu.
is nothing but just like the camel is eating the cactus. So the
Yes,
same
Prabhu.
analogy. It is like that. We are eating our own blood. It is like that. And this is the verse by Yamunacharya.
Yes,
यदवधि
Prabhu,
मम
this is best.
चेतः या यदवधि मम चेतः कृष्णपादारविन्दे नवनवरसधामन् उद्यतं रन्तुमासीत् तदवति बत नारी सङ्गमे स्मर्यमाने भवति मुखविकारः सुष्ठुनिष्ठीवनंश्च. So Shushtunishti, it means just like spitting. Literally, it means spitting at the throat. Shushtunishti. So since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curls with distress. Yeah, so this is the translation. One must
Thank you for sharing, Prabhu.
memorize and recite this verses. Yeah. Very powerful verses these are.
Yes,
If
Prabhu.
anybody wants to continue reading, then they can read both.
One straight.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Vivasya janmasthiti samya marti kritavataskarasya padambuja bhujamte vijayma sarves karanam yadasi yad isa smritam prayachatya abhayam swapumsam. Synonyms: Vivasya of the cosmic universe, Janma creation, Sthiti maintenance, Samya Marthi for the dissolution, also Krita accepted or assumed, Avatarasya of the incarnations, Padambhajam lotus feet, they your Vrajema, let us take shelter of survey, all of us, Charanam, shelter yet that which Isha, O Lord, Smritam, remembrance, Prayachati, avoiding, Abhayam, courage, Swapumsam, of the devotees. Translation Prabhupada Shri Krishna Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O Lord, you assume incarnations for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, and therefore we all take shelter of your lotus feet, because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. Purport: for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestations, there are three incarnations: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, Lord Shiva. They are the controllers or masters of the three modes of material nature, which cause the phenomenal manifestation. Vishnu is the master of the mode of goodness, Brahma is the master of the mode of passion, and Maheshwara is the master of the mode of ignorance. There are different kinds of devotees according to the modes of nature. Persons in the modes of goodness worship Lord Vishnu. Those in the mode of passion worship Lord Brahma, and those in the mode of ignorance worship Lord Shiva. All three of these deities are incarnations of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Because he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods directly refer to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord and not to different incarnations. The incarnation of Vishnu in the material world is, however, directly worshipped by the demigods. It is learned from various scriptures that demigods approach Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk and submit their grievances whenever there is some difficulty in the administration of universal affairs. Although they are incarnations of the Lord, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva worship Lord Vishnu, and thus they are also counted amongst the demigods and not as the supreme personality of Godhead. Persons who worship Lord Vishnu are called demigods, and persons who do not do so are called asuras or demons. Vishnu always takes part in of the demigods, but Brahma and Shiva sometimes take side of the demons. It is not that they one become one in interest with them, but sometimes they do something in order to gain control over the demons. Text पढ़ो यच्चनुबन्धे स्थिति देहकेः मामहमित्य उदधुराग्रहणं पुंसं सुतरं वसतोऽपि भूयान् भजेम तत्ते भगवन् पदाब्जं yet because Sanubandhe, due to becoming entangled, asati is being deha, the gross material body, gehe in the home, mama, mine, avam, I, iti, thus, uda, creative, duragrahanam, undesirable eagerness, pumsam, of persons, sudaram, sudaram, far away, pasata, dwelling, api, although, puryam, within the body, Vajayama, let us worship that therefore thee, your Bhagavan, O Lord, Padabcham, lotus feet. Translation: O Lord, who are entangled by undesirable eagerness for temporary body and kinsmen, and who are bound by thoughts of mine and I, are unable to see your lotus feet, although they are situated within their bodies. But let us take shelter of your lotus feet. Purport: the whole Vedic philosophy of life is that one should get rid of material entanglement of gross and subtle bodies, which only cause one to continue in a condemned life of miseries. This material body continues as long as one is not detached from the false conception of lording it over the material nature. The impetus for lording over material nature is the sense of mine and I. I am the Lord of all that I survey. So many things I possess, and I shall possess more and more. Who can be richer than I in wealth and education? I am the master and I am God. Who else is there but me? All these ideas reflect philosophy of Aham Mama, the conception that I am everything. Persons conducted by such uh, persons conducted by such conception of life can never get liberation from material bondage. But even a person perpetually condemned to the miseries of material existence can get relief from bondage if he simply agrees to hear only Krishna Katha. In this age of Kali, the process of hearing Krishna Katha is the most effective means to gain release from unwanted family affection and thus find permanent freedom in life. The age of Kali is full of sinful reactions, and people are more and more addicted to the qualities of this age. But simply by hearing and chanting Krishna Katha, one is sure to go back to Godhead. Therefore, people should be trained to hear only Krishna Katha by all means in order to get relief from all miseries. Text 45. Tanvaihya prasadvritti akshibhiriye para para परहृदन्तर्मनसः परेशा अथो न पश्यन्त्य उर्गायं ये ते पारमयस्य विलासलक्ष्य. The lotus feet of the Lord who is certainly he for presently with the way by those who are influenced by material external energy. Should be by the senses see those para with the messing at a distance. Anta Anta Manasa will be internal mind. Ratio of supreme author therefore none ever question between the Urudaya of great known ye but he those who are washed Pandayasa devotees Vilasya translated enjoyment lecture those who see translation O great supreme Lord offensive persons who, whom internal vision has been who affected by external materialistic activities cannot see a lotus feet, but they are seen by a pure devotees who one and only aim is to transcendently enjoy your activities. Purport as stated in Bhagavad Gita 1861. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. It is natural that one should be able to see the Lord, at least within himself. But that is not possible for those whose internal vision has been covered by external activities. The pure soul, which is symptomized by consciousness, can be easily perceived even by a common man because consciousness is spread all over the body. The yoga system, as recommended in the Gita, also concentrates the mental activities internally and thus see the lotus feet of the Lord within oneself. But there are many so-called yogis who have no concern with the Lord but are only concerned with the consciousness, which they accept as a final realization. Such realization of consciousness is taught by Bhagavad Gita within only a few minutes, whereas the so-called yogis take continuous use to realize it because of their offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. The greatest offense is to deny. No. Hmm. Prabhuji, can you take? I think some of it is left. The greatest offense is to deny the existence of the Lord as separate from the individual souls, or to accept the Lord and the individual soul as one and the same. The impersonals misinterpret the theory of reflection and thus they wrongly accept the individual consciousness as a supreme consciousness. The theory of reflection of the supreme can be clearly understood without difficulty by an sincere common man. When there is a reflection of the sky and the water, both the sky and the stars are seen within the water. But it is understood that the sky and the stars are not to be accepted on the same level. The stars are parts of the sky, and therefore they cannot be equal to the whole. The sky is the whole, and the stars are the parts. They cannot be one and the same. Transcendentalists who do not accept the supreme consciousness as separate from the individual consciousness are as offensive as the materialist who deny even the existence of the Lord. Such offenders cannot actually see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves, nor are they even able to see the devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord are so kind that they go to all places to enlighten people in good consciousness to offenders avoid those chance to receive the Lord's devotees, although the offenseless common man is at once influenced by the devotee's presence. In this connection, there is an interesting story of a hunter and the version are the hunter in the forest. Although Great Janak was not an intentional offender, he was at once influenced by the presence of Narada, and he agreed to take path of devotion, leaving aside his earth and home. But the offenders of Nalapavila and Manikriva, Aligriva, even though living amongst the demigods, had to undergo punishment of becoming trees in the next life. Although by the grace of a devotee they were later delivered by the Lord. Offenders have to wait until they receive the mercy of the devotees and they can become eligible to see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves. But due to their offenses and their extreme materialism, they cannot see even the devotees of the Lord. Engaged in external activities, they kill the internal vision. Lord's devotees, however, do not mind the offenses of the foolish in their meaning was sensitive body the endeavors. The Lord's devotees continue to bestow the blessings of devotion upon all such offenders without hesitation. That is the nature of the devotees. Hare Krishna Prabhu, if someone wants to read.
Hare Krishna. Text 46. Panina te deva katha sudhayah pravradha bhaktya visadasya ye vairagya saram prati labhya bodham yathan gyatsanvir akuntha dhisdhinyam. Panena by drinking te of you, Deva, O Lord, Katha topics, Sudhaya of the nectar, Pravdha highly enlightened, Bhaktya by devotional service, Vyas, Visada Asya with a greatly serious attitude, Ye those, Vairagya Saram, the entire purport of renunciation, Pratilabhya achieving, Bodham intelligence, Yatha as much as. Just quickly, Anvya, achieve, Akuntha, Dhishyam, Vaikuntha Loka, in the spiritual sky. Translation: O Lord, persons who, because of their serious attitude, attain the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieve the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge, and attain the Vaikuntha Loka in the spiritual sky, simply by drinking the nectar of your topics. Purport by His Divine Grace Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The difference between the impersonalistic mental speculators and the pure devotees of the Lord is that the former pass through a miserable understanding of the absolute truth at every stage, whereas the devotees enter into the kingdom of all pleasures even from the beginning of their attempt. The devotee has only to hear about devotional activities, which are as simple as anything in ordinary life, and he also acts very simply. Whereas the mental speculator has has whereas Prabhu, one call is coming. Can I get one thing, Prabhu? Whereas the devotees enter into the kingdom of all pleasures, even from the beginning of their attempt. The devotee has only to hear about devotional activities, which are as simple as anything in ordinary life, and he also acts very simply, whereas the mental speculator has to pass through a jugglery of words, which are partial effects and partially a make show for the maintenance of an artificial impersonal status, in spite of his strenuous efforts to attain perfect knowledge. The impersonalist attains merging into the impersonal oneness of Brahmajyoti of the Lord. which is also attained by the enemies of the Lord simply because of their being killed by him. The devotees, however, attain to the highest stage of knowledge and renunciation and achieve the Vaikuntha Lokas, the planets in the spiritual sky. The impersonalist attain only the sky and does not achieve any tangible transcendental bliss, whereas the devotee attains to the planets where real spiritual life prevails. With a serious attitude, the devotee throws away all achievements like so much dust, and he accepts only devotional service. That transcendental combination. Text 47. तथापरे सत्मा समाधि योगम बलेन जित्वा प्रकृतिम बलिस्थम त्वमेव धीरः पुरुषं विसन्ति तेषं स्मरः स्यान्न तु सेवयते Tatha, as far as apare, others, sa also. Atma Samadhi, transcendental self realization. Yoga means balena, by the strength of Jitva, conquering Prakritam, acquired nature or modes of nature. Balistham, very powerful. Tvam, you. Eva, only. Dhira, pacified. Pursam, person. Visanti, enter into. Tesam, for them. Shramah, much labor. Syat has to be taken. Na, never. Tu, but. Sevaya, by serving. Te, of you. Translation. Others who are pacified by means of transcendental self realization and have conquered over the modes of nature by dint of strong power and knowledge also enter into you. But for them there is much pain. Whereas the devotee simply discharges devotional service and thus feels no pain. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In terms of labor of love and its returns, the bhaktas or devotees of the Lord always have priority over persons who are addicted to the association of jnanis or impersonalists and yogis or mystics. The word apare others is very significant in this connection. Others refer to the jnanis and the yogis is whose only hope is to merge into the existence of the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, although their destination is not so important in comparison to the destination of the devotees. The labor of the non-devotees is far greater than that of bhaktas. One may suggest that there is sufficient labor for the devotees also in matter of discharging devotional service, but that labor is compensated by the enhancement of transcendental pleasure. The devotees derive more transcendental pleasure while engaged continuously in the service of Lord than when they have no such engagement. In the family combination of a man and a woman, there is much labor and responsibility for both of them. Yet when they are single, they fall more trouble for want of their united activities. The union of impersonalists and the union of devotees are not on a par. The impersonalists try to fully stop their individuality by attaining Sayujya Mukti or unification by merging into oneness, whereas the devotees keep their individuality to exchange feelings in relationship with the Supreme Individual Lord. Such reciprocation of feelings takes place in the transcendental Vaikuntha planets, and therefore the liberation sought by the impersonalists is already achieved in devotional service. The devotees attain mukti automatically while continuing the transcendental pleasure of maintaining individuality. As explained in the previous verse, the destination of the devotees is Vaikuntha or Akuntha Dhishnam, the place where anxieties are completely eradicated. One should not mistake the destination of the devotees and that of the impersonalists to be one and the same. The destination and the destinations are distinctly different, and the transcendental pleasure derived by the devotee is also distinct from sinmarta or spiritual feelings alone. Prabhu, thank you for giving me chance.
Thank
Someone
you so
continue.
much, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu.
Text number 48. Tatte vayam loka shishrikshayadya tvaya nusrishtastribiratma bhisma sarve viyukta svaviharatantram na shaknumastat pratihartavayete. Tat, therefore, te, your, vayam, all of us, loka world, shishrikshaya, for the sake of creation, adya, the original, tvaya, by you, anusrishta, being created one after another, tripihi, by the three modes of nature, atmabi, by one's own, sma, in the past, sarve, all, viyukta, separated, svavihara, tantram, the network of activities for one's own pleasure, now not, shaknuma, could do it, that, Pertihartave, to award, te, and to your. Translation. O original person, we are therefore but yours only, although we are your creatures. We are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature, and for this reason we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act what is this? Concertedly. Concertedly. For your transcendental pleasure. Purport. The cosmic creation is working under the influence of three modes of the external potency of the Lord. Different creatures are also under the same influence, and therefore they cannot act concertedly in satisfying the Lord. Because of this diverse activity, there cannot be any harmony in material world. The best policy, therefore, is to act for the sake of the Lord. That will bring about the desired harmony. Text number 49. Yavad balim tejaha haramakale yatha vayam channama adama yatra yato bayesham taime hiloka balim harantonnam madhyantyanuha. Yavat, as it may be, balim offerings, te your aja, O unborn one. Rama shall offer, kale at the right time, yata as much as, vayam we can, also, annam food grains, adama shall partake, yatra whereupon, yata as much as, Ubayesham, both for you and us, ta all, ime these living entities, he certainly, lokaha in the world, balim offerings, haranta while offering, annam grains, adanti eat, anuha without disturbance. Translation. O unborn one, please enlighten us regarding the ways and means by which we can offer you all enjoyable grains and commodities so that both we and all other living entities in this world can maintain ourselves without disturbance and can easily accumulate the necessities of life both for you and ourselves. Purport. Developed consciousness begins from the human form of life and further increases in the form of the demigods living in the higher planets. The Earth is situated almost in the middle of the universe, and the human form of life is the via medium between the life of the demigods and that of the demons. The planetary systems above the Earth are especially meant for the higher intellectuals, called demigods. They are called demigods because although their standard of life is far from advanced in culture, enjoyment, luxury, beauty, is far more advanced in culture, enjoyment, luxury, beauty, education, and duration of life. They are always fully God conscious. Such demigods are always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord because they are perfectly aware of the fact that every living entity is constitutionally and eternally subordinate service of the Lord. They also know that it is the Lord only who can maintain all living entities with all the necessities of life. The Vedikums eko bahunam vidadati kaman ta enam abruvan ayatanam naha prajanihi yasmin pratishta annam adame, etc. confirm this truth. In Bhagavad Gita also the Lord is mentioned as Bhutabhrit, or the maintainer of all living creatures. The modern theory that starvation is due to an increase in population is not accepted by the demigods or the devotees of the Lord. The devotees or demigods are fully aware that the Lord can maintain any number of living entities provided they are conscious of how they eat. If they want to eat like ordinary animals who have no God consciousness, then they must live in starvation, poverty, and want like the jungle animals in the forest. The jungle animals are also maintained by the Lord with their respective foodstuffs, but they are not advanced in God consciousness. Similarly, human beings are provided with food, grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk by the grace of the Lord, but it is the duty of human beings to acknowledge the mercy of the Lord. As a matter of gratitude, they should feel obliged to the Lord for the supply of foodstuff, and they must first offer him food in sacrifice and then partake of the remnants. In Bhagavad Gita it is confirmed 3.13 that one who takes foodstuff after a performance of sacrifice eats real food for proper maintenance of the body and soul. But one who cooks for himself and does not perform any sacrifice eats only lumps of sin in the shape of foodstuffs. Such sinful eating can never make one happy or free from scarcity. Famine is not due to an increase in population, as less intelligent economists think. When human society is grateful to the Lord for all his gifts for the maintenance of the living entities, then there is certainly no scarcity or want in society. But when men are unaware of this intrinsic value of such gifts from the Lord, surely they are in want. A person who has no God consciousness may live in opulence for the time being, but due to his past virtuous acts, a person who has no God consciousness may live in opulence for the time being due to his past virtuous acts. But if one forgets his relationship with the Lord, certainly he must await the stage of starvation by the love of powerful material nature. One cannot escape the vigilance of the powerful material nature unless he leads a God conscious or devotional life. Ribol. Okay, we will finish the two last. Who wants to read?
I can continue. Hare Krishna.
Ribol, yes.
Dandavat Namah Prabhupada. Text 50. Tvamna suranam ashishan vayanam kutast adya purusha purana tvam deva shaktyam gunakarma yono pretas tvajayam kavimadhayeja. Synonyms: Tvam, your lordship; Nah, of us; Suranam, of the demigods; Asi, you are; Sanvayanam, with different gradations; Sutastha, one who is unchanged; Adaya, without any superior; Purusha, the founder person; Purana, the oldest, who has no other founder; Tvam, you; Deva, O Lord; Shaktyam, onto the energy; Gunakarma Yono, onto the cause of the material modes of and activities; Reta, semina of birth; Tvajayam, for begetting; Kavim, the total living entity; Adadhe, initiated; Aja, one who is unborn. Translation: You are the original personal founder of all the demigods and the orders of different gradations. Yet you are the oldest and are unchanged. O Lord, you have no source or superior. You have impregnated the external energy with the semina of the total living entities. Yet you are unborn. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord, the original person, is the father of all living entities, of all other living entities, beginning from Brahma, the personality from whom all other living entities in different gradations of species are generated. Yet the Supreme Father has no other father. Every one of the living entities of all grades up to Brahma, the original creature of the universe, is begotten by one father. But he, the Lord, has no father. When he descends on the material plane out of his causeless mercy, he accepts one of his great devotees as his father to keep pace with the rules of the material world. But since he is the Lord, he is always independent in choosing who will become his father. For example, the Lord came out of a pillar in his incarnation as Narsimhadev, and by the Lord's causeless mercy, Ahalya came out of a stone by the touch of the Lord's lotus feet of his incarnation as Lord Sri Rama. He is also the companion of every living entity as the super soul, but he is unchanged. The living entity changes his body in the material world, but even when the Lord is in the material world, he is ever unchanged. That is his prerogative. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord impregnates the external or material energy, Bhagavad Gita 14.3, and thus the total living entities later come out in different gradations, beginning from Brahma, the first demigod, down to the insignificant ant. All gradations of living entities are manifested by Brahma and the external energy. But the Lord is the original father of everyone. The relationship of every living being with the Supreme Lord is certainly one of son and father, and not one of equality. Sometimes in love, the son is more than the father, but the relationship of father and son is one of the superior and the subordinate. Every living entity, however great he may be, even up to the demigods like Brahma, Indra, etc., is an eternally subordinate servitor of the Supreme Father. The Mahat Tattva principle is the generating source of all the modes of material nature, and the living entities take birth in the material world in bodies supplied by the Mother Nature, Mother Material Nature, in terms of their previous work. The body is a gift of material nature, but the soul is originally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Text 51. Tato vayam mat pramukhaya dharthe babhuvimatman karavama kimte tvam na shvachakshu paridehi saktya deva kriyarthe yadanugrahanam. Synonyms: Tata, therefore, Vayam, all of us, Mat Pramukha, coming from the total cosmos, the Mahat Tattva, Yadarthe, for the purpose of which, Babhuvima, created, Atmana, the self, Karavama, shall do, Kim, what, Te, your service, Tvam, yourself, Na, to us, Swachakshu, personal plan, Paridehi, specifically grant us, Shaktya, with potency to work, Deva, O Lord, Priyarthe, for acting, Yat, that which, Anugrahanam, of those who are specifically favored. Translation: O Supreme Self, please give us who are created in the beginning from the Mahat Tattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind direction on how we shall act. Kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in different departments of subsequent creation. Purport: the Lord creates this material world and impregnates the material energy with the living entities who will act in the material world. All these actions have a divine plan behind them. The plan is to give the conditioned souls who so desire a chance to enjoy sense gratification. But there is another plan behind the creation, to help the living entities realize that they are created for the transcendental sense gratification of the Lord and not for their individual sense gratification. This is the constitutional position of the living entities. The Lord is one without a second, and he expands himself into many for his transcendental pleasure. All the expansions, the Vishnu Tattvas, the Jiva Tattvas, and the Shakti Tattvas, the personality of Godhead, the living entities, and the different potential energies, are different offshoots from the same one Supreme Lord. The Jiva Tattvas are separated expansions of the Vishnu Tattvas, and although there are potential differences between them, they are all meant for the transcendental sense gratification of the Supreme Lord. Some of the Jivas, however, wanted to lord it over material nature in imitation of the lordship of the personality of Godhead. Regardless when and why such propensities overcame the pure living entity, it can only be explained that the Jiva Tattvas have infinitesimal independence and that due to misuse of this independence, some of the living entities have become implicated in the conditions of cosmic creation and are therefore called Nityabaddhas or eternally conditioned souls. The expansions of Vedic wisdom also give the Nityabaddhas, the conditioned living entities, a chance to improve, and those who take advantage of such transcendental knowledge gradually regain their lost consciousness of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. The demigods are amongst the conditioned souls who have developed this pure consciousness of service to the Lord, but at the same time they continue to desire to lord it over the material energy. Such mixed consciousness puts a conditioned soul in the position of managing the affairs of this creation. The demigods are entrusted leaders of the conditioned souls. As some of the old prisoners in government jails are entrusted with some responsible work of prison management, so the demigods are improved conditioned souls acting as representatives of the Lord in the material creation. Such demigods are devotees of the Lord in the material world and are completely free from all material desire to lord it over the material energy. They have become pure devotees and have no desire but to serve the Lord. Any living entity who desires a position in the material world may desire so in the service of the Lord and may seek power and intelligence from the Lord as exemplified by the demigods in this particular verse. One cannot do anything unless he is enlightened and empowered by the Lord. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Mattha smritir jnanam apohanamscha. All recollections, knowledge, etc., as well as all forgetfulness are engineered by the Lord who is sitting within the heart of everyone. The intelligent man seeks the help of the Lord, and the Lord helps the sincere devotees engaged in his multifarious services. The demigods are entrusted by the Lord to create different species of living entities according to their past states. They are herein asking the favor of the Lord for the intelligence and power to carry out their task. Similarly, any conditioned soul may also engage in the service of the Lord under the guidance of an expert spiritual master and thus gradually become freed from the entanglement of material existence. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord, and anyone who puts himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and acts accordingly is said to be acting in terms of Buddhi Yoga. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandana bahushaka anantasya buddhayo vyavasayinam. Bhagavad Gita 2.41. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, fifth chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Ibo Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, tomorrow we continue from chapter 6. Cetodarpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam Shreyah Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्मापि दुर्दैवमितृषाम् इहाजनिनानुरागा
Grinadapi sunicena tarorapi shaishnuna amanena bhanadena kirtaniya sada Hare.
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवदाद्भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि
अयि नन्द तनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भमुभतां कृपया तव पदपङ्कजं स्थितधूले सदर्शं विचिन्त्य
नयनं गरुडश्रुधारया वदनं गुरुचपुरतया गिरा पुलके मेचितं वपुकथा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति।
गायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रपश्यायितां शून्यायितां जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे।
आश्लेष्य वा पादरतान् पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मर्मातां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः।
Haribol. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my spirit be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation and considering a moment to be like 12 years or more, tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all weakened in the void in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Bahujanma Kareyadi Shamana Kirtan, Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense, to consider names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in persons to the Vedic version. Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense to give some interpretation.
Sixth offense, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda.
And
Ninth
demonstrates
offense.
to a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense to have not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments. Even after understanding so many instructions on this matter, it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desired trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananda Gaudiya Vaishnavinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhus, for joining and reading the chapter. Sorry for starting late today. Tomorrow we start earlier. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Tomorrow we
Krishna.
have Q&A session. Remember to join Q&A session with Sundar Gopala Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu.